What's up, beautiful creators? It has been far too long, but I am back with some goodies. And in today's video, I'm gonna show you all how I went from an idea in Canva to executing out a commercial slash documentary spot for Alli Bank and Revolt TV. Let's get into it. When it came to pre-production, I was asked to come up with the overall physical look of this spot. And it was 4 students who had been working with Alli Bank on a project. So they wanted me to come up with the set, the overall set design of how I wanted this to look. Immediately when I thought about students, I thought yearbook. Like, they're students and they completed the project, and so now we're creating this documentary of the process. So I thought completion, students, yearbook, boom. So I wanted texture, I wanted backdrop, but I also wanted to be able to show the full set. So not just the background where they're in front of it, but you're seeing the lights, you're seeing stands. That was the look that I instantly thought of when they came to me with the project. The main 2 applications that I use and always use is Canva and Frameset. You go on Frameset to find the inspirational photos, and then you take it to Canva to create your mood board or your deck to then send to client, which is what I did. Now, I know you have Shot Deck and you have Frameset, but to me, Shot Deck focuses a little bit more on films, and I think Frameset does a really good job of focusing on commercials and documentaries and music videos, and this was more of a commercial slash docu spot. And so I decided to go more towards the Frameset row. And honestly, I've been having a good time in Frameset already. So I just kind of stayed there. I typed in interviews or behind the scenes interviews, and I came up with some beautiful images that was literally on par with what I had envisioned in my mind. And so the first tip that I want to give is when you are working with a client and you're trying to create a mood board or a deck of how you envision the project being shot, try to find the best images that is going to bring your idea to life. They need to be able to understand it. It needs to be clear and concise. And so don't find images where you actually have to fully explain the image. So I pretty much went on Frameset and found all my images for my deck to send to client. Images of how we were gonna have the shot angles using 2 cameras, images of some of the shots that I wanted for B-roll, and they signed off. So that is something that is important to note. Just always make sure that your images are a reflection of what you really see in your mind and what you really want to bring across. Now, when it comes to location, because that is another important part of the pre-production, a lot of people overlook location, especially producers or directors. And as a DP, you should always be in the decision-making process for a location. And the reason why is because a lot of times they might already pick the location and then bring you in, and they didn't think about power, they didn't think about lighting, they're using natural light, they didn't think about the sun, they didn't think about a lot of things, whether there's an elevator for all the equipment. Just overall, as a DP, you're bringing that to the table. So you should always be in that decision-making process when it comes to location. And for me, I'm always thinking, is this location going to enhance or is it going to hinder? Is it going to be a factor where I have to come in and totally manipulate this space to get what I want? Or is it just going to be able to enhance what I'm already bringing to where it's just like bumping it up 10 notches? And I'm always trying to find the locations that's going to enhance. Found this beautiful location in LA. They gave us exactly what we wanted. And it was enhancing the walls. There was texture with the walls. They had practicals already that I really loved of how they were sprouting from the walls. They had just certain elements in the location that I was like, we could work with this. So I was able to also sign off on the location as a DP to say, this is going to work with the vision that I have. So that was pretty much all of the pre-production, the location, the set. I literally always take my iPad with me, or I have it on my phone, exactly my deck. So when I'm there, I know exactly how I want things to be, and I can go back and look at it and say, hey, this is what I'm looking to do. And I send that to my crew, to my gaffer, of like, this is what I want it to look like. And then we bring it to life. Lighting, 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 lighting is so key. Now, thankfully, I was able to have a full crew on this. So, of course, I had my camera operator. I had 2 first ACs. I had a second AC. I had a Steadicam op, gaffer, key grip, and a swing. Bus boy. Quickly, I'm gonna reference the camera, but I don't think that's important as the lighting. But we did use RE Minis and we used Cooke S4 lenses. Now, the reason why I decided to go for the Cooke S4s is because naturally and normally they give you this really warm vibe, and that was the look I was going for. You have 4 black students and they're all different range and skin tones, but I really wanted this warm look. And not even just that, they add really beautiful texture. And if I'm already going for this vintage yearbook look, I felt like the Cooke S4s were perfect to add the texture to that and give me exactly what I wanted in totality. And I did have some diffusion on it. I think it was black satins, but I cannot remember. And that also gave a little softer feel as well, which you kind of see in the overall shot. We had the B camera on a slider, a Dana Dolly, and the A camera was just on sticks. Now, I did raise the B cam up higher to get an angle down because, again, we're going for something different. But that was the camera equipment was pretty simple. It's not as important as the other things outside of making sure that you find lenses that really makes sense to the project. Don't just pick a lens because you've heard that these are great lenses. Like, I really tried to do some research, and I asked other DPs that I love their work and asked them if they had experience with these lenses and what the characteristics were for these lenses. So really, like, make everything intentional in what you do, whether it's the camera, whether it's the lens, no matter what it is, make sure it's intentional while you're choosing the equipment that you're choosing, and you're not just choosing it just because. Now, when it comes to the lighting, which is why we're all here, and matter of fact, if you're still here, make sure that you leave a camera icon down below in the comment section, just so I can know that you are still here. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights and some practicals. So let's get into it. So for my key light, we had a 1200D with the 150 dome and diffusion, shooting through a 12 by a full grid. That is what you see on the right side of the camera, and it is peeking through in a shot, giving more of a sidey light. Now, our fill light, because the key light was giving more of a side light, our fill light was at a 45-degree. That was going to be able to wrap the light a little bit more. So we also had that at daylight, so it can feel like it was a connection to the key light. So for the fill light, we had a 600X with the 120 dome with the diffusion. And that, again, was at a 45-degree, 2 camera right. And those were the main 2 lights that was lighting the subject. Every other light pretty much was more so lighting the space and bringing ambient light as well. So the 1200 did bring ambient light because it was bouncing, but these other lights that I'm going to talk about did really bring, it was more so for lighting the space, not the face. So for the backlight, we had a 600X aperture, of course, with the Fresnel and barn doors attached. But honestly, we should have went for a 300 because the 600 is super powerful and we actually didn't need that much power. So in hindsight, I would have went for a 300. And as you can see on the interview shot, there is a little like hot spot that I was trying so hard to get rid of, but we didn't have that much time to really nail it down and figure it out. So that's the only thing that I don't like is that hot spot coming from that 600. So that was our backlight, and it was just the 600X that we had barn doors on and no diffusion. For our slash that you see, it actually did not come from the backlight, the 600. It actually came from another Series 2 Lico, just for the slash on the backdrop. That was super important to me because, again, I like texture. I didn't want the backdrop to just be plain, and so I wanted some kind of slash. As you can see in the images from Canva, I wanted some kind of slash, some kind of texture that was going to, you know, bring it all together. So we were able to add that Series 2, and we didn't have any gobos. We played around with it a little bit to get the slash that I like, and then we feathered it out. But we wanted to make sure that it looked like it came from the backlight. The last light that we used, if you look on the left side, it's very dark in that area, and it was even darker than that. And so my goal was to like bring a little bit more light in that area because our right was so lit because of the key and the fill that I needed to light the other side just to kind of like add it, make it a little bit more even. And so we had another Series 2 Lico that was shooting through a 4x diffusion frame just to kind of add some light in that area, just a little, because I didn't want it to just go into the black abyss. All those little details matter. So when you're thinking about it, just think about details. The details start to add, and then they help the overall image. And so we added that. And then the last lights that we used were practicals. Again, I told you the space really enhanced the look that I was going for. And so they already had lights that were attached to the walls that were coming up and creating gradient. And we were able to dim those, and they were already warm, so they matched with our other warm lights. So as you can see, next to the ladder, we have a light. And then we even have a light next to the cart with the apple boxes. And it really just brings everything together. And I was just so in love with what I was seeing. I was like, that's my team. That's my vision. That's it. We did it. So that was pretty much all the lighting. Like I said, we used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights and practicals. So I guess 6 lights total. And of course we had different lighting setups because we also shot B-roll. This was a 2-day shoot. We shot B-roll all the second day. The interviews were the first day. And with the B-roll, we also brought in some aperture novas to light certain things like the little archway. We brought in aperture novas and we put them behind the archway, and we just changed the color for each person based on their school. And that was cool. And then we would have a key, probably the 600X in front, when they walked through the archway. And then even the other texture wall that we used, we just had the 12 by, and we were just able to use some of the lights that we already had to get other shots that we needed. But that was the interview shot, and I'm super, super proud. I'm really in love with wide shots because I think it just gives you this really beautiful establishing shot of everything. And then, of course, your B-cam. Bree did an amazing job getting different angles. So we got dead space sometimes. We had some movement. Like, she did really, really well, and I'm so proud of her. And even in the B-camera angle, you can kind of see the practical from the wall kind of coming in and adding texture to the back. So overall, like I said, details matter. When you think about everything and how each frame and each shot is going to look from point A to point B, all that matters. And the more you really pay attention to that, the better your projects are going to end up. And that is literally how I went from having the idea in my head initially to fully executing it. And honestly, we didn't have any hiccups. There was really no hiccups when it came to this shoot. Everything turned out exactly how I envisioned it. So when your pre-production is great and you study and you practice and you just do your best, your execution is going to be great, and then the final is going to be great. I did not edit this and I did not color it, but the colors did an amazing job bringing everything together and keeping the warmth, and I'm super, super proud of this project. So if you guys have any questions, please, please let me know. I try to share as much as possible. These are really important to me because I feel like as we're growing and creating content, but we're growing in a DP space, we're growing in a cam op space, we're wanting to get into film production, even watching movies. If you're not in film production and you're watching movies, just learning lighting and seeing and knowing certain things as you look at their compositions and their images, you start to understand a little bit more. So this is my goal, is to continue to help you guys learn a little bit more in the film production space. Not even for those who want to do film production, but if you are into movies, if that's the things that you love, you start to understand it more, how things were shot, and you gain a little bit more appreciation for it. So thank y'all so much for watching. If you have any comments, please leave them down below. If you got to the end, again, put a camera icon in the comment section. And thank y'all so much for watching. I love you all so, so, so much. Let's kill this video. Make sure that you are subscribed, and I'll see you all in the next one. Have a good day.